geometry. What now? Stuff that's fun? Oh, SOHCAHTOA. Is that what you said? Oh, okay. I thought you said stuff that's fun. I was like, yeah. Yeah, SOHCAHTOA. What else?
Triangles.
Triangles. What kind of triangles? Right triangles.
Frustration.
Alright. Way to be positive. Anything else besides feelings? Numbers. Okay. So SOHCAHTOA is what we're going to start off talking about. I tried to find some like songs to help us remember it, but they are like really corny. I'll have to show you one at the end of the week. It's bad. I didn't want to go there. So, all right. So write SOHCAHTOA up at the top just so we can review, and make sure you write the S, C, and T capitalized. So 12.1, if you can remember SOHCAHTOA and then this other thing I'm about to teach you, it'll be a breeze. It's all about memorization, just memorizing this phrase, okay? The S obviously stands for what? Sine. What does the O and the H stand for?
Opposite.
Good. Hypotenuse is what? What is the hypotenuse? The longest side. How else can we identify it? Good. Across from the right angle. Very good. So cosine is what? Adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent, opposite over adjacent. Very good. So those are three trig functions: sine, cosine, tangent. The other three are cosecant, secant, and cotangent. Okay? And sine has a boyfriend. Sine's a girl, if you didn't know. She has a boyfriend, and his name is cosecant. Cosecant, and it's SCS is how it's written. Okay, and the reason they are dating is because they're opposites, and opposites attract, right? You wouldn't want to date yourself. Maybe you would if you were really vain, but anyways. So what would be the opposite of O over H? H over O. So that's what cosecant is. It's hypotenuse over opposite. They go together. They're opposites, okay? And then cosine's boyfriend is secant, SEC, and it's opposite. So how do we find secant? Hypotenuse over adjacent.
So what these funds are for these?
Yep, we're going to use those in a little while. Not this chapter, probably. All right, and then tangent has a boyfriend, and its boyfriend's name is cotangent, and it's opposite, so it's adjacent over opposite. So the only things you really have to memorize are SOHCAHTOA, which you already knew that from geometry, hopefully. But just remember that sine and cosecant go together, cosine and secant, tangent and cotangent. If you remember that they're dating, then you will be fine. Okay. Alright, so what we're going to do for these first three is we're going to find all the 6 trig functions, which are these we just went over, for each triangle. So the hardest part about that is just finding the missing side, which we know how to do that. We'll get to that in a minute. And identifying what your O, H, and A are. After that, it's just filling it in these formulas. Okay, so finding the missing side, which is this one. How do we do that? What now?
You could do like the opposite of hypotenuse. You could do the sine of that angle.
Okay, we hadn't got there yet. You must have taken pre-AP geometry?
Yeah.
Okay. It has nothing to do with angles. What's that called? And when can we use that? When it's a right triangle and when you have 2 sides. Good. Okay, so we have 2 sides and it's a right triangle. So a squared plus b squared plus c squared. Does it matter which one is which? Alright, which one has to be a? What now? Either 5 or 13. 13 has to be what? Good. Why? Because it's the hypotenuse. Good. So we have 13 squared for C. Does it matter if 5 is A or B? Nope. So I'm just going to write it as A. Now to solve for B, we have to find out what's 5 squared? 13 squared. Alright, how do we solve now? Good, subtract. So 169 minus 25. Good. So B, this side, is 12. Questions about that first part? Everybody knew how to find or use the Pythagorean theorem, right? Okay, so now we're just finding the 6 trig functions, but it's according to that little circle with a line through it. What's that called? What's this called? Starts with a T. Theta. It's called theta. And what theta is, it's like, you know how we use letters for when we don't know what a number is, like X, Y, whatever? We use theta when we don't know what the angle is, or the angle measure. So theta is what we're trying to find all these 6 trig functions with respect to. So if we look at theta, first of all, which one's our hypotenuse again? Because it's the longest, we can write h beside it. Now all we have to identify is what is opposite and adjacent. So we're looking at theta. Opposite is going to be the other side, right? So what is across from theta? 5. That's going to be what? Opposite. Good. So you look at your theta. Whatever's across from theta, that's your opposite. Adjacent means right beside. So that's going to be what? 12. And now from here, it is super easy. Alright, SOHCAHTOA tells us that sine is what now? Opposite over hypotenuse. So what is opposite of theta? 5. Hypotenuse? So we would write it as? Good. That is sine theta. Alright, and who is sine's boyfriend? What's the SCS? Cosecant. So these two are boyfriend, girlfriend. These two are boyfriend, girlfriend. These two are boyfriend, girlfriend. So CSC is cosecant, and it is sine's boyfriend. So if we write this down here, cosecant theta would be what? Why are they boyfriend, girlfriend? Because they're opposites. So it'll be what? Good. You just swap it. Alright, now let's talk about cosine theta. Cosine, so in SOHCAHTOA, CAH, that's adjacent over hypotenuse. What's adjacent in this one? 12 over 13. Very good. And who is cosine's boyfriend? Which is secant. And it'll be what? Very good. Just swap them. Tan is opposite over adjacent. So that's going to be what two numbers? Good. 5 over 12. And then tangent's boyfriend, cotangent, will be what? 12 over 5. And that's it. Those are all 6 trigonometric functions with respect to theta. Easy. Y'all know it is.
So, I'm going to figure out how to find theta.
Next chapter. It's easy.
Right here, I can do it right now.
Alright, so for this one, which side are we looking for? A, B, or C?
C.
C, because it's the longest. So we'll have to do 12 squared plus 16 squared equals C squared. What is 12 squared? 16 squared. Yep. What's that going to be? And what is 256 plus 144? And the square root of 400? 20. So this side is 20. Now, with respect to theta, tell me what our h is. O? Good, because it's across from theta. So that's going to be O. And A is going to be 12. Alright, what do we notice about all these sides? 20, 16, 12. What else? What else? Somebody said it? Yes. We hadn't got into that yet. What else they have in common? They all have what? Multiples of 4. Good. So when we write it as a ratio, we know we're going to have to simplify all 6, or we can simplify it now, and then we won't have to do it each time. So let's go ahead and simplify it now. So instead of 20, we can write what? Instead of 12? Instead of 16? So now when we write our ratios, we don't have to simplify them each time. Starting with sine. Sine is what over what? Good. Opposite over hypotenuse, so that's going to be 4 over 5. Alright, who is sine's boyfriend? Good. And it's going to be? Good. Cosine theta? Good. 3 over 4. Adjacent over hypotenuse. Alright, what's cosine's boyfriend? Secant, and it's going to be? Good. Tangent? Good. It would be. Shame, shame. And then cotangent. 3 over 4. Good. Does everybody know, like, is SOHCAHTOA easy to use, or we need to come up with something else? Everybody understands how to use it while we went over it? Okay. I want you to try 3 on your own, and I will call on 7 people. The first person to tell me the missing side, the other 6 to tell me the 6 trig functions. If you need help, let me know. Alright, so tell me, Isabel, what was the missing side?
Like the
Yeah. Very good. Alright, Darian, tell me what sine was.
8 over 17.
Very good. What about cosecant, Chris?
3
it'd be 17 over.
Good. All right. Cosine, Morgan. Good. Grant. Secant.
The secant is 15 over 8.
This is cosine. Remember, they're boyfriend and girlfriend. So this one will be what? It'll be the opposite of cosine. So it'll be
17 over 15.
Julia, what about tan?
8 over 15.
Good. And Zaria, what about cotangent? Good. Everybody good? Alright, we are going to start on the rest of these notes tomorrow. No homework tonight. Y'all can pack up.